What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Nexus Podcast. I hope everyone's doing really well. Today we are doing a podcast to talk about the meta. Emmy's not here today because he's currently in Japan on holiday, but he will be back next week, so that's great news. But yeah, how are you guys doing? How are you doing, Kieran?
Yeah, it's been I missed 1 week of the podcast, and in that 1 week there's been 3 events essentially.
Yeah, busy
Yeah,
times in the Battle Spirits
yeah,
world.
yeah. I was out there at Utrecht last week, and looking forward to Liverpool this week.
Oh yeah. What about you, Harry? How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not bad. Was in Portugal last week visiting my parents, so probably the first non-Battle Spirits related use of my leave days for quite some time. But yeah, it was very nice. Weather's still pretty warm over there, so yeah, got a bit of vitamin D in my veins before bracing up for a cold London winter ahead, as you're well aware yourself, Kieran. But yeah, feeling good.
It's always winter in Manchester. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy how much we all jet set. Really, we're always flying away us lot. So, but yeah, no, we've got a few things to discuss today. We're going to look at some of the lists from the tops, and yeah, pretty much just have a brief discussion on the meta, really, and talk about what's viable, what we think's viable after these 3 results. So without further ado, we'll go to look at some lists. Okay, so we shall start off with... Alright, so this is the first place list from NA, I believe. So, yeah. What do you guys think of this then? This won the tournament yesterday. And it was piloted by
Ryan Matas.
Yeah, it was Ryan. Yeah, I didn't want to.
And congrats to him as well. He's a very good player. He consistently got top 8. He never actually had a win under his belt, though. So that was the curse broken yesterday, which is why we saw Zach and Alex carrying our new people's champion to victory at the end of the match.
Yeah, that was hilarious and heartwarming at the same time. It was so funny. So yeah, I mean, I watched his final and he absolutely dominated purple in the final, which is different for red, really. But no, he definitely, from what I understand, he's a purple player. The commentary was saying as main.
Yeah.
So yeah, so talk to me about this, guys. You guys are red players. Talk to me about this deck. What do you think of it?
Is this the list with Apollodinos in it?
Apollodinos is in this as a 4 of, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this is the American list.
Yeah. So let me get this up then. If you want to talk about this card, it's up on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly talk. I mean, this is, I think I might have said it on a previous episode, but for me, this is my card of set 3. This card is incredible. This is like a top 5 card. I think it's probably the best red card in the deck. I mean, it gets around armor red, which is actually huge for the white matchup. It's not hard to reach the certain thresholds where you're just popping, enterprises at 2 cores or even enterprises at 4 cores with a few power buffs. Obviously, do note that his effect pops only spirits with the exact BP as Apollodinos, so it's not equal or less.
Just so you guys are aware, the reason he avoids armor red is because he doesn't select with his ability to destroy. It's just destroy all of your opponents. So if there's no selection, then it gets around armor.
Yeah, I mean, we saw red go through a bit of evolving, right? Because the Over-Reptidon ban happened at the end of set 2. We had one event with that ban, and people went for more of a Nova Terrasaur hybrid, Terra Nova. I know there were some people on my tables playing Dragono King, but I don't think it really went anywhere too much. And then obviously we saw the first Grand Open of Utrecht where yellow just dominated completely. I think all the players from NA who played yellow, they knew red was barely going to be there. People were too busy playing the new shiny Gale deck, which has a bit of a rough matchup against yellow. I think there was one red player at Utrecht. I don't know if you covered that last week, but there was only one red, I believe, in the entire event. I played against him round 1. He was playing more of a aggro red build, go wide with Dragono Troopers and Dragono Guards, so it wasn't really the list that was well equipped to deal with yellow as well. So yellow had a free event pretty much. This list just does everything that red does best, right? Which is just when summoned, get value. You have the Andromedas for Nexus Destruction and also 3k or lesses. Dragono King is Volcanic Break on a body, and also absolutely absurd stat line. 3 cores 10k, 5 cores 12k. When it swings at level 3, gain 3k extra.
Would you say Dragono King's the key card in this deck then, or?
I don't. It's hard. It probably is. Between that and Apollodinos, I think those two cards put a lot of pressure on the opponent. Even with Apollodinos, I think with Apollodinos, even if you don't play him, the opponent always has to be thinking about their core management and always be moving around cores that might be slightly inefficient. So Apollodinos existing actually puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. Dragono King is he's quite expensive, but he's also really good as well. I think this list is just really just what red does best, right? You've got the new Ritual Fire card, you're playing your Burning Forces, which, we're in a very Nexus heavy meta right now as well. And we have a bit of a Nexus destruction problem in terms of there's not really many efficient tools, but red does it all best. Red did really well.
It's interesting that he actually isn't using Feral Slash, which is obviously a very popular card. But maybe because it's on color, is that perhaps the reason that he's using Burning Force instead?
Probably. I think Burning Force showed itself. Yeah, the stream was very good. I watched day 1 and day 2 every round, but Burning Force got a lot more popping 2-guy value than what you might think it did. People are more playing around Floodstream, less so Burning Force now. Or Feral Slash, but they're not even attacking. So a Burning Force, we saw in the finals, I think he triggered 2 very important Burning Forces, and he popped 2 guys both times, and that's a thing.
That's crazy value. What about this Chameleo Whip? This is a spicy card for early game defense.
Yeah, if you want to say some words, Harry. It's a spicy card, probably up your street.
Yeah, no, I was looking through the set the other day, and I definitely bookmarked it. It's a very cool card. It's kind of like Halberd in a way, in terms of being able to still apply pressure whilst also giving you defensive utility, except it's probably an upgrade. Well, I don't even know if it's probably, it definitely is an upgrade on Halberd in terms of that function. Stopping things under 5k is, it's really significant. It forces 3 cores plus on a lot of creatures if they want to be dealing damage to you, while still letting you apply offensive pressure. So it's nice. Obviously, it's not over Raptidon in that sense. Transition, and maybe has had a slow process in terms of transitioning post over Raptidon and Volcanic Break, but with things like Ritual Fire in this set, it allows pre-existing cards like Dragono King, which were good, and the people who tested red in the run-up to the PT definitely did test with Dragono King. We tested with Dragono King. It's good. Can be a bit expensive at times. Like, it doesn't do it all on its own. So I think for the PT sort of meta, it was good, but it wasn't enough. And now you have additional tools like Chameleon Wing, the 2-drop, and Apollo. Like, Apollo's really good. I didn't even know that it got through armor, but that makes so much sense. And just extremely powerful. Andromeda, always a very solid card. Like a Monarch in Yu-Gi-Oh, it just comes down and kills something. Always gives red a really nice degree of consistency in terms of Nexus removal, creature removal, confront even at times as well, coming clutch. So lots to like about this list. I think
what about the Ruby Sanctuary guys? I'm curious to know your thoughts on this.
Interesting.
He's using 2 Ruby Sanctuaries.
No Scorched as well.
4 Volcanic, no Scorched. Yeah.
I think no Scourge makes a bit more sense. This isn't as aggressive as what Red's typically seen to be in the past. I think the Sanctuaries did a lot of work we saw on the weekend. I mean, only Green and Red are playing theirs right now, I believe. Yellow's one is probably the worst with Whites, and they don't need to play theirs accordingly. But yeah, Red's one is quite interesting. It's got a lot of cores. It essentially is a Scorched battlefield, but more niche. You're probably playing it just more because it is a 2-cost 1 reduction Nexus, so it comes down for 1. The Guardian for it as well. I know the Guardian's not in this list, but there was a Guardian Trident Dragon list that was in top 4. In fact, this list and that list played each other in top 4. Obviously, this list won, but still credit to the Trident Dragon deck that guy played. That card's also a really powerful card. With the Ruby Sanctuary as well.
Ryan's sideboard is interesting as well. He's got like a white sideboard. He's got 4 Dream Bombs, 3 Suppressions, 2 Diner, and then the 4th Ritual Fire. What do we think of that? That's kind of old school. Reminds me of sort of around the Grand Open Coventry time. A lot of people were doing that kind of thing with a white side deck.
Yeah, I mean, we actually heard a bit from Alex. He gave a bit of insight on one of the Discord chats about some of the picks. Derm is there for your white matchup, obviously. White Control, while not popular, is still White Control is a good pick in this meta, just except for the fact that the yellow is really popular. The 4 Dream Bombs came in against Gale, from what we know. Makes sense, right? Bounce the Nexus, bounce the big dudes, slow down their tempo plays. And I would imagine Ritual Fire and Suppression are just more against aggressive. Maybe Suppression against Gale, I'm not sure. A bit costly. But yeah, probably just anti-aggro tools. Very versatile sideboard, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just good cards, and cards like Suppression, almost irrespective of the deck that you're playing, it will scale into just another Ice Shield in certain matchups. Dream Bomb in other matchups is just
100%
crazy tempo play, and Dino obviously for the stubborn control white. So again, quite a easy to understand list, but a very thorough and robust list.
I mean, are we seeing less of the main deck Dream Bombs now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seems to be getting slightly phased out at this point, but you never know with this game. Everything comes in waves, so there'll probably be in South American Grand Open sometime. There'll be just a one-off Dream Bomb meta for no reason at all. But yeah, so we'll go to the second place list, I believe, which was a purple kind of core control list. Well, I guess core control. It has also some curse in it as well.
One thing to note is that Bacillus and Curse Dragon combo was the main strategy of both the finalist purple decks. There wasn't a single set 2 or set 3 X-Rare for purple played, so good old reliable that Curse Dragon combo.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, looking at the deck, it actually kind of doesn't look much different to regular, although we have one little card which I know Harry's a massive fan of, the Costume Artist. Talk about this card. Tell us some potential. It's beautiful artwork as well, I must say. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think what I like about the list overall is, again, it's quite simplistic. It doesn't overextend. It doesn't try to do too much. There isn't like any mad riz. Like there isn't even an Impaler Forest in there for stuff to go beyond, control games where it goes long and you might want it. But I think it just shows how cogent, similar to the red list, just how cogent the core essential elements are. And Costume Dresser, I think, it really elevates what purple is able to do. Nemesis is always a very impressive card when it comes down, but it was very expensive. And now with Costume Dresser, you essentially get like a mini Nemesis, but the mini is the important part of it. Like you can play it turn 1, immediately do something with it turn 2. Purple's always been very good in that respect, and it's got Curse, so it lets you apply additional pressure in that way.
Curse on top of everything else is actually very strong, I think, in this package.
Really.
Yeah, so in top 4, I think it was top 4 or top 8, one of the game-winning plays against Yellow is he attacked with the Costume Artist, popped his own Curse Dragon, added back the Curse Dragon with Lamorak, and then he already had a backlist in hand and proceeded to play another back Curse Dragon combo. I think he played Curse Dragon 3 times that game, twice with the combo. No deck can really stand that, can they?
Yeah, I mean that's oppressive to say the least. And I mean, what do you guys think of the one of Soul Crush?
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just mentioned the one off Dream Bomb. Like, I guess it's comparable in that slot, or Thorn Prison, or Core Drain. Like, there are plenty of things that could occupy that spot. I can't really speak to how well it might have done for him and the consistency of it being a one-off. I don't think there's any more on the side either, but
No, there isn't.
It isn't the easiest thing necessarily to play around, and obviously you're only going to have one creature out with a Soul Core on it, so you know, I'm sure it came up a fair bit. Like, you back a list and then kill something, and it's like, all right.
It's definitely a card that gets worse and with open deck list.
Interestingly, he had 6 Nexus removal cards in his main board, so that's quite strong considering it's purple.
I think that's correct in this meta. We're in a very Nexus-heavy meta.
Yeah, makes sense.
I really like the Pendoculus in the side came up against the yellow in his feature match as well. That card was really good, just having that single target removal. I think it sniped it off a Genbu or something. Sometimes you need that one specific core sniping. And then also he's trying of the law set Manaka that we rated kind of in that mid tier. I think we rated it before we saw Feng Huang, but obviously with Feng Huang being everywhere, Manaka is a good card.
Yeah, 100%, especially on color. It's
yeah, especially on. It's only 3 reduction, 3 cost. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. So yeah, this was second place in the US Geo. It was in Pasadena. I think it was about 100 players, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. It was, I think, just around 120ish.
Yeah. So
the one thing I would like to hear is about Harry. What's his thoughts is about Cavalier being 4 of in the main board with Star Blessed everywhere. Is this list just kind of accepting that they're going to get Star Blessed anyway?
Yeah, and it must do. And I mean, in the PT testing, we would have this with purple quite a lot, where you know, we would test Cavalier. It would test very strong because it's just a really good glue card. It really solidifies the early game, makes Beldegor better. It just sort of elevates. I guess it's like a sort of like a holding midfielder in football. Like, he gets things going, gets the possession going, builds you into your later game options.
He has a really good stat line as well. I mean, obviously the 6k 6 cores isn't ideal, but the two cores for 4k is very strong.
Considering purple's creatures are largely understated, yeah, it's actually a very important stat line. I mean, we ran Tin Soldiers just for the stats, really. It's like purple is very underbalanced when it comes to good stuff, but obviously, right, because it's got such powerful effects.
Yeah, the effects are just
balanced out that way. But yeah, obviously it was going to make his red matchup a bit worse. I think to compensate, like, you only see the 4 Rotting Swamp in there. Maybe they were thinking a bit more about Exhaust Nexus and just not wanting to commit too many Nexuses, so that when they do the Wen summons like Black Lance and Cavalier, then you're not going to get blown out by Exhaust Nexus. So he only ran the 4 Swamp. And of course, you kind of have to take these gambles going into a tournament where you're like, well, if it's a field full of red, then I'm going to get Star Blessed drawed. I think we saw that at Coventry ages ago, right, in the final, where Russell just got off like 2 Star Blessed draw 4. It's just like, yep, GG. But when you're not playing against red, it's so smooth with the Cavaliers in there for sure.
So yeah, so that was the second place list from the US. Like we said, there was quite a lot of lists which were quite similar in the top, if I'm not mistaken. Like the other red lists were not far away in the other purple list. So we've only done the top 2 here. But we will now go and give some coverage to the Australian Grand Open. So we will start off with first place for there, which was another red list. And it's kind of similar in a way, but there are some fundamental differences. What do you think of this list compared to the other?
I will say shout out to Number 1 Wei, a part of the Taco Club. Very awesome team. He was he was actually sent the skeleton of the red deck from the American players for his Australian Grand Open, so that's why the lists are very, very similar. Not exact, but very similar. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a less refined list, I would say, in comparison to what we saw being played by the Americans. But I mean, it still won the event, and I quite like it actually. He opted for the Dragano Troopers, but that makes perfect sense when you're still on Scorched, for example. It's literally like the Scorched card. 8 Nexuses is very aggressive. 5 Nexus Destruction. He kept his very Feral Slashes in, but
well,
yeah,
he's actually got 9 Nexus Destruction because he's got 4 Andromeda.
Oh, you're right. Yes, Andromeda. Yeah, he did not want Nexus to stick around.
No, he did not, and he in fact even had another Burning Force in the side to make sure. So this list was kind of similar to the other list, like you say, slightly less refined, using Scorched Battlefield instead. What would you guys prefer if you were to play either list? Would you go for the Scorched Battlefield, or would you go for the new Nexus?
I just don't like how vulnerable this deck. This build is just too Floodstream. You're playing too many 2-drops and 3-drops. I think I just don't like it enough.
Let's quickly scroll back to the other one. Yeah, I mean the other one's very similar as well. It's actually playing.
The only 2-drop is Chameleon Wing, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah
that's true. Yeah,
Floodstream resistant.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Dragno just makes more combinations that they can take out with one spell. So no, you're right. That is definitely an issue. But no, I mean it won the tournament. Yeah, it won the tournament, so we can't talk down.
Yeah, and you do force the question from them. I mean, the cards are still good.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't have Floodstream, and
they
even
have
if
to have
they do,
Floodstream. Yeah, you know.
No.
I mean, he also did say the one-off double heart in the sideboard did win him his top 4 match.
Wow, that's beautiful because I literally put that up on the screen just before you said that, so it's like,
yeah,
perfect. But yeah, no, one of double heart, so won him a game, and an important one at that. So yeah, I mean that card's clutch. It's expensive, but it can just take the game. You know, if they're hiding behind the ice shield, that's gonna kill them before the ice shield takes hold.
So good that must have felt winning the top 4 with the double heart you sided in.
Yeah,
very impressive, man. That is awesome.
I mean, I will say that we had this exact card basically in Dragon Ball. It was called Champa.
Except it cost like 1.
Yeah, it only costs 1 energy, but resource is a lot more sparse in that game. It's not as easy at all. However, yeah, because your life isn't resource, it's cards in hand. But basically it got banned in the end because it ended up being every single deck strategy to use this card to win the game. I don't think this is going to happen here because it's a lot more expensive, but you know,
I feel like they learned their lesson.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. You never know, though. You know. All right, so yeah, that's the first place list, and then second place
one
was
thing
actually.
to note. As we're talking about with double heart, we know set 4 actually has double symbol spirits, and double heart specifically says that the spirit's treated as having 2 red symbols. So if a spirit had 2 red symbols initially, double heart wouldn't increase it any further. So maybe that's some future proofing coming.
It's a replacement effect. Yeah, I was actually asked by this today that if Nebula swung and then had double heart, would it take 4 damage? And I was like, that would be nice, popping ice shield from 5 life, but no, that they. But yeah, so that was first place.
Maybe some future proofing. Yeah.
Now we're gonna move on to third and fourth. Kieran tells me it was a team effort, so 2 people were playing the same deck.
3
and
people. They all three got top 8, by the way.
Wow. Okay.
2 of them top 4.
So this deck is extremely spicy. I mean, I wouldn't even say this is necessarily strictly a purple deck. It has purple good stuff, but it also has green good stuff, and it also has white good stuff. What do you guys think? I mean, the dual dragon is what's holding everything together.
They said Mantingol was the core of the deck.
Yeah, it's a really good card. I mean, it's got a lot of consistency. You don't have to attack them like you do with Ant-Man. Obviously, it can fall prey to Starblast Draw, but it is an optional when summoned. Like, you don't have to do it. So, I think we've been seeing a bit more love for the 3 drops with optional when summons, things like Swordsman Dragonaga, Matingol, Mushrantula even. Like, they're good cards, and you need a degree of consistency when it comes to any sort of ramp strategy. This guy's got a lot of it. 4 multiple cores as well.
4 Heaven's Cloak, 4 Mantingol, 3 Amp. He's literally just maxed out all the ramp cards.
Yeah. And Dual Dragon will ramp you a lot of the time.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just like a ramp strategy into good big stuff. I mean, 4 Curse Dragon and 3 Baculus. That's, I mean, the risk of bricking with this deck must be fairly high. I mean, what do you think? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Obviously, they've done well. I don't know how many entrants there were at the tournament.
I think it was the smallest grand open today. It was like 40-ish people.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, it's always tricky, and no Lamorak as well is rather interesting. Like, yeah, in my Glasgow list, I went with the same ratio of 4 Infernal, 3 Bacillus, but it was literally like my first day playing purple, and I was like, yeah, I want to see it in practice. 4 and 3 is probably a bit much, but to be fair, like, against a lot of things, it just gives you such assurance. Like, when you have the combo in hand, the game can more or less play out entirely within your own control, so long as you don't die. Like, as soon as they overextend into you, their board's gone. And yeah, this isn't really a build that's looking to play into Lamorak's functionalities in that capacity quite so much. I think it's more just as you said, like a ramp good stuff with a lot of good options. Turbo Rex coming in, very good. It's a very cool list, very spicy.
Yeah. I guess that makes a lot of sense, right? Because your guys, they ramp you, and then you just sack them off for the ascend cost.
Yeah,
makes sense
for sure.
So what was the team name? Do you know, Kieran?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry out there if they don't know.
Right, shout out to you guys anyway. If you watch this, let us know in the comments. Sorry that we're not as good at researching as we probably should be.
Yes.
So interesting sideboard. 3 Rocket City, very very prevalent card in draw metas.
Very best.
Again, 2 Floodstream. Everyone's using Floodstream. 1 Armored Dragon. I'm a fan. I love Armored Dragon. I feel like it can stifle people's strategies. One of maybe is a bit like obviously I didn't top or anything with this list, but I'd probably go with, just from personal experience, 2 rather than having a 3rd Turbo Rex, because I find the Turbo Rex can actually be very bricky sometimes. As good as a card it is, and as much as I love it, sorry, Emmy. This
is just a really good list for it. Like it doesn't play any Nexuses, so you're not bricking on Nexuses.
That's true.
Punishing their Nexus removal really badly as well. Like, we saw the other lists were maining like 6 Nexus removal plus, and it's just like, well, you completely invalidate that.
Yeah, and one of the strongest things about these lists is that you sit down, you play against them, and you have no idea what you're playing against for like 7 turns, 8 turns, and it's too late. You don't know what's coming, you know?
Yeah, so interesting. So that's pretty much all the lists we're going to look at. So we'll go back to our main chat position, and I guess let's just kind of talk about, we got another grand open coming this weekend, which all 3 of us are attending, which is going to be great. It's going to be great to hang out again, as always. So how do you think this is going to play out? Do you think people are going to read into the meta too much and change builds, or do you think it's all a bit too close together and everyone's still kind of just in an experimental stage and we're all still learning? Because I mean, it's only been a few tournaments in a short space of time, so really it's not a great deal to work with, I'd say. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, the meta seems to be developing rather quickly, which is nice to see. It's crazy to think that the set's only been out for a couple weeks and we've already seen such broad transitions from, Gale Highland OP to yellow OP to red now beating it. And I think we've established the sort of cyclical nature of the format really rather quickly, which I think if you've got your eyes on the next Pro Tour, Worlds or stuff like that, it's nice that things are fleshing themselves out in this way quite quickly. As far as Liverpool, yeah, it could really be anyone's game. And I think people have mixed feelings when it comes to this, but personally, I love it. I love the fact that like any deck can do well, and really it's just a case of trying to guess the room. And if you guess the room correctly, then you're going to be rewarded for it. I have no idea what Liverpool's going to be personally, but for me, it's more just like a fun one, with the boys
100%,
to counter. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, because obviously most of us have our invites for Worlds already, so I think most people will just hopefully play what they enjoy. But obviously there is still the prize money there, so what are your thoughts, Kieran?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the prize money is going to be here. I don't know how many people we're expecting. I'm expecting around 50, 60-ish personally. A bit more on the smaller side, but it's the Pro Tour's not in Europe, and it's the week before Christmas in America. Not cheap. Meta-wise, I think we're kind of seeing what the meta is at this point. I'm more interested to see what Blue gets up to as well. Blue hasn't done anything yet. Is Blue in the same situation as Green was last set, where it had some very niche plays but nothing else? Blue looks a lot more solid than what Green looked like in its first set. Is it just not enough? I think if White control, because it's weird, like if with all this red, in theory, White control should be very good now. White control's matchup against Fable Beast is horrible. Also, its Blue matchup is pretty horrible as well. And then are we just in a rinse and repeat cycle?
That's a very good point that I'd like to linger on. Blue out of the box, better than Green or not so much?
Green out of the box?
Yeah, compared to Green out of the box in set 2, what do you think is better?
Best stuff out the box was quite generic though. Like things like Workaround Man and Dawn Prison aren't really tied to their color in the same way. Like Blue, I think Blue as a deck in and of itself is stronger out the gate than Mono Green was last format. Like Mono Green in set 2 was very sort of one trick pony. Like you tempo derp them with the Thorn Prisons and just swing it.
I mean, Aggro Green was the best deck, right? Basically for Green last set.
Pretty much,
and it was a very good deck for sure. But yeah, it was completely contained to that. With Blue, you do have options, but yeah, it will take some time. I think like people have to figure out the best variant of it, where it kind of situates itself in the meta. I do agree overall that like Green, I think it'll probably need another set before we're like, okay, yeah, blue is rocking a bit now.
Yeah, I mean it might take a bit more time to establish, because people have had a lot of time obviously to work on their strategies with other colours. Just trying to bring that in.
So far, it seems like a very balanced meta for. Some people were saying that Gale's the gatekeeper deck potentially. Don't know how true that is. Haven't really played against it too much myself. Only a few times.
Well, I mean, the results at the weekend wouldn't really back that.
No.
Yeah, the game is full of gatekeeper decks and always has been. It's like there have always been metas where if it shifts too much one way, then Infernal Bacillus comes in and yeets everything, or if it goes too far one way, then Aggro White comes in and punishes things, or as we saw over the past couple of weeks with the Pro Tour and Utrecht Grand Open, where people really slept on yellow and then yellow came back in and edged itself back into a meta when everyone had always thought of it as the worst color. I think that there's always these sort of points that go together. Again, we aren't quite sure where blue sits in that just yet. Obviously, multicolored decks can always offer something new and interesting as well to switch things up. But I think it is largely just a situation of playing what you want to play. Like, I don't know if there's any broad best deck right now. Like maybe there are decks that aren't so good, but in terms of whether you play like
what would you say?
mid-range red,
What would you say there's key cards there are to play around? Because I mean, in my mind, I'd say Floodstream's one, Ritual Fire. These are new cards to think about. What about you guys? Anything spring to mind that you would in your strategy make sure you don't play into?
Do you mean in like a generic, like could be in any deck sort of sense?
Yeah,
or...
I mean, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, I think Ritual Fire is a card that is used generically, most likely. Very strong.
Bloodstream's the main one, but saying that, one deck I want to kind of just touch upon is White Aggro. We saw White Aggro in round 4 of the live stream for the American Grand Open.
Yeah.
The credit to him, by the way.
Wasn't he a new player?
The game. Yeah, he'd been playing the game for literally not even a week, and he was XO in round 4. He could have won game 1, but maybe he got a bit overwhelmed. I mean, all he had to do was play Dome Diner and swing, but maybe he just didn't understand that the opponent's Nexus also counted for Dome Diner, maybe. But it happens, you know. When you're on a live stream feature match, as you know as well, Harry, it's totally different. You can forget your place so easily. Yeah.
I've been on a live stream feature before in Coventry.
Have you lost every game you've played?
No, I actually absolutely dominated. I played a mirror pretty much, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm saving it for Worlds, don't worry.
When you're under the light, especially as a new player, that probably adds so much. But credit to him, he could have been 4-0 maybe, but you know, we're talking about all these defensive tools, and everyone's playing such greedy decks. Is White Aggro just the kind of deck that can just vomit its hand out and be like, if you don't have the Floodstream, you're dead. If you don't have these answers, you're dead, you know? Yeah, I
mean, aggro's always got to be... I think it's in top players' minds. Alex touched on this, actually. Aggro's always in the back of the mind for them. And, you know, I think going back to the red lists, I think Alex was playing it as well. The sideboard would suggest that, you know, aggro was what they were siding for, really.
I think people hate losing to aggro post side as well. Like it feels as though you were very underprepared, whereas like strangely if you lose a game 2 against basically any other deck, I don't know, like sentimentally it just feels a bit better for most people. So yeah, always a big cojones deck to play, the old aggro, but as we know from our boy Mr. Hatfield, sometimes the big cojones gives the big prize money at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, it can pay off.
It's always on the cards.
But yeah, no. So, what other decks do you think might sort of be prominent this weekend? Then, do you think yellow's? I mean, yellow's always been quite popular in the UK scene. Do you think...
By the way, Gembu buyout on card market right now. Gembu's are like 16, 17 euros each. So
the new Gigano.
Yeah,
I mean, Gigano never met those sort of heights. No. We never had card market, to be fair, to have the buyouts.
Set 3 prices have been very interesting.
X-rays are fairly up there, though. It is interesting to see that
the good ones,
the market in Europe is quite. I mean, it's supply and demand, I guess.
People want to turn up for Liverpool, it seems.
Yeah, apparently so.
Could be a fabled beast, little old fun time for most people going.
Yeah.
I think White Control is in a much better position for Liverpool than ever before, because now, you know, their worst matchup is yellow, and we've just saw red win 2 events back to back.
Yeah, so only a madman would play yellow, Harry. Only a madman.
By the way,
credits in it as well.
Sorry, I have to give a shout out to Luster. Luster also got a top 8 in America as well. So you know, Luster got 2 top 8s in the last.
My
2
Queen
weeks.
Michaela. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that
they run double heart for Michaela.
They should have. They didn't. But that 6 cost with Exhaust Nexus is something else.
Angel, yeah.
I definitely love the new Luster stuff. And
I lost the creature that can't be flood streamed as well.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's important. That's why I prefer it to Shin. Shin's still really relevant though. What a card. But yeah, no, it's great to see yellow finding its place. And hopefully, we'll see some more yellow topping at the weekend.
I guess we can ask on Liverpool, like, what would you want to see win? If there was a deck that you could, I mean, obviously, you don't have to discuss what you're playing.
Myself.
I don't even know what I'm playing, but if there was something, like, I would really like a Pentasmag to win or something like that, or like K Control.
Whatever,
or blue even.
Whatever Enox built, I want that to win, because it'll probably be weird. Something strange and janky would be fun to see, because we always see like the cookie cutter kind of meta build where about 10 of the players in the field will have exactly the same deck. So it would be nice to see something outrageous win, and it's always a possibility. Like you say, it's heart of the cards, heart of the opponents. If you don't play into any bad decks all day, you can just cruise right to victory. So just one more thing to touch on, guys. World's registration is a bit of a mess at the moment. It is up on the TCG Plus website. However, it is grayed out. There is a list on the Battle Spirits website which basically has every player that's qualified. Even if you've qualified twice, it actually has your name twice as well. With all of your information. So if you are on that list and it is grayed out on the app, then I would just suggest emailing them. I've emailed them and I do have a response. They basically said they're going to get back to me about it. But yeah, you've got some stuff to say, Kieran, about the whole situation. Obviously, a lot of us are wanting to book flights, get visas, and all that kind of thing. But with this uncertainty, it's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it's an absolute shit show. I'll be honest with you. That's the easiest way to put it. I will say, and I appreciate Bandai for trying to push their app more, but it shouldn't be used right now for these. Like the last week, the nationals tickets went up for One Piece and Digimon. Obviously, One Piece crashed the whole app, the whole service, of course. And Digimon players were found to be locked out of pressing the enter button, and for a lot of them, by the time the app started working again, they were shoved onto a waiting list. That's great. That's awesome. Now, for Battle Spirits players, you can buy a ticket on the same day as the event and it still hadn't sold out. So we're fine. But I don't know, using this like Asian technology for your biggest event of the year, just go back to using a lot
of the other tournaments have been on Limitless, at least the European ones.
Limitless has been great, and all the Americans I've spoken to have absolutely loved it, especially because you get, as a viewer, you get access to the top deck list so much easier.
Yeah, and you get your complete rundown of your opponent's scores and everything.
It made the tournament reports very easy for us after the events. Yeah.
As well. I've got some personal issues going on. Hopefully that gets fixed as well. Bandai TCG being lost in the void. I don't know how that happens. No idea, but hopefully they get back to me on that. I'm still confused how that's happened.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get things sorted. But yeah, no, the app's always been a bit of a nightmare, honestly, since they released it. On a local level, it's not too bad because the best thing about it is you save paper. I don't have to print out result sheets and everything else. But
I'm a bit more confused why for all the Pro Tours we don't have to sign up on the app. We just confirm we're going and we go. But for the biggest event of the year, they make us use the app that hasn't been tested for this game yet for their World Championships. I don't know.
It's because they're the TO, though, right?
Yeah.
It's because they're the TO for it.
As you said, there's an invite list, right? People's on the name is on there twice. Why can't I just turn up and be like, "This is my ID"?
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully they get it fixed because there is uncertainty and.
One thing to note, however, there is a special Worlds playmat on via Premium Bandai that you can only You have to pre-order it before Worlds, and you can only pick it up at Worlds. They haven't shown the full art just yet. They've just shown it as like Seagram versus Maduke, and they've kind of only got the silhouettes. It's $30, I think, which, I mean, for a Worlds exclusive map, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be awesome, and people that obviously haven't made Worlds, it's invite only.
Yeah.
So
we don't get one of them just for being sick. Sick of their game. I have to pay $30 more to get your merch.
Correct. Yeah. But the actual event is free.
I think in the event you do get a playmat for the event as well. So it's just it's a commemorative special edition only for players that qualified, basically.
Okay. That's fine.
So you do get a mat.
You're gonna get 2 mats.
You get a mat complimentary if you don't buy it. But obviously, I mean, even if you don't want it, a collector might want that. So it's worth picking up to help subsidize costs, which is always. An issue, especially if you're playing as many tournaments as we have been. You know what I mean? It's at this point, it's like, crazy.
And of course, we are still waiting to see what the Worlds finalist cards are going to look like.
Oh yeah,
we don't have that just yet.
To be fair,
that should be coming out anytime soon.
To be fair, the season 3 finalist cards are awesome, and they do have our hallowed ground, the Spiral Tower. But yeah, no, the new stamps and all the artwork, it's getting better and better. So you can tell that they're trying to improve the product. And I mean, I'm excited to see. Obviously it's all up in the air what the next block is going to be like. But I'm excited to see if hopefully we just get more money tournaments. And
especially because for those wondering, the set 4 did get delayed by 1 month, so it's coming out end of February, I believe now.
Okay, well that's kind of a good thing. Give us like a month to just decompress after Worlds, and I mean it's been an insane season for a lot of people. A lot of people probably been traveling more than they have since before COVID, I guess, at this point for this game. But I mean, it's been a great ride so far, and hopefully Worlds, we're going to see one of the boys crowned world champion and get to go play in Japan for the little
exhibition match.
I don't know what it would be. Would it be with the champion? Yeah, if you win, you'd play an exhibition match in Japan, and I believe it's with the champion of Battle Spirits. The Japanese version, and it would be like under the big lights and everything, and maybe you'd even get like a flying platform that flies into the arena before you play, like on the anime. If you're if you're an S class.
One thing that was interesting, I don't know how you've just reminded me of that. Is so we actually saw a very interesting situation happen at the American Grand Open this weekend. For those who don't know, in the launch event specifically, they made this very clear. Anyone who was under the age of 18 couldn't enter the tournament because people under the age of 18 can't win cash prizes, right? That's a policy. However, we actually saw people of under age of 18 actually enter the American Grand Open this weekend. And some of the kids, I think one person was 14 years old, credit him, and he actually went 4-3. Good record. And that would cash normally. However, by legislation, they can't offer cash. So unfortunately for him, he got nothing.
Wow.
I mean, policy is policy, right? I'm pretty sure they've got it in their terms of contracts. Anyone who is under the age of 18
that would just be American law, probably.
Yeah, it is what it is, but it's a shame. But hopefully they maybe
American kids need to learn to lie. Show up with a fake ID.
Where's the McLovin ID?
Yeah.
The classic.
Yeah. I don't think we've had any 18 under kids enter any European event so far. Not that I know.
Europeans are just so well behaved.
Yeah.
They can think of doing something underhanded like that.
It's probably a dad who's a player who's like, I think I can get my kid involved in this. Maybe he can help build up the prize pot.
We should do a video where we're like, you can buy a gun, but you can't play Battle Spirits.
My goodness. On that note, yeah, that's pretty much it for today. We've had a good podcast. We had some technical issues earlier with Discord. This is going to make it a bit of a nightmare to edit, but I'll get it done.
Sam is putting it lightly. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have Emmy back next week, who is normally in charge of our edits, so he'll be. I'm sure he'll be able to fix it up. But I'll be doing it this week.
And we'll be back with a tournament report.
Yeah, tournament report.
Ooh, yeah.
So we're all off to Liverpool in a few days. So yeah, it's going to be good times. Really looking forward to it. And anyone fancy doing a question time on the round today, Kieran? Maybe you? You got a question for us?
Yes. Sorry, give me a minute.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna make you do another edit.
That's fine. Don't ask.
I've got a question.
Don't ask what we're going to play in at the weekend.
Oh shit! No, joking.
How many tin soldiers are you gonna run, Harry?
I don't know if this question's been asked before, but I'm gonna ask it. And if it's been asked, forget it.
That's fine.
Okay. So yeah, my question is, I want to know kind of what's your guys' favorite event been so far this year.
Oh, that's interesting. For me, it's easily Pro Tour Utrecht. Just being able to get to Worlds was kind of like a big relief off my shoulders. I've been playing.
Where did you first?
I can't remember. It was just about in, like 57th or something like that. However, I feel like I've had bad luck when I've played the tournaments, but obviously it's down to me as a player as well. But I have had a lot of bad matchups, so I did feel a lot of pressure. But I managed to get there with the Ants, and it was job done basically. I wasn't expecting to get super high. I just wanted to qualify, and that they did it for me. So yeah, that was probably my favorite as far as playing. For fun times though, Coventry was really good. We had a really good time in the house with Harry and his team, Andre and Aaron. We were all getting to know each other. Well, obviously their team knew each other, but we were all getting to know the guys a bit more then, and it was just a really fun weekend overall. Really, good party times. But what about you, Harry? What's been your favorite event?
Yes, it's not straightforward. Like, I think in terms of the vibe, Den Haag and Glasgow were a lot of fun. Just like the nights out and just the general environment. Like it was just a good vibe. Good vibes with the boys. Coventry as well, as you said. Those were all really fun tournaments. And I think launch event was obviously quite special in terms of it was the first tournament and doing well, and it was a nice time to do well. Obviously the PT is my biggest achievement so far, I guess. And qualifying for Worlds was very important, but it was a slog. Like, it was actually a slog. Like, I was ill. All of us were ill. It was raining the whole time. Like, it wasn't much of a vibe in that respect. It was very much like the cold Monday night in Stoke, getting the job done type of thing. So while it was a great feeling accomplishment wise, I think the feeling of the launch event where it's just like everyone's happy and celebrating and we go back home, and that was probably a bit better. So overall, I think launch event for me is still where it's at, but
was really
definitely
really
more good ones than bad. Only Karlsruhe was the bad one for me. But
what about you, Karen? I'm going to reverse it to you for this one. What's been your favorite?
Oh, I see. Whenever you ask a question, you should expect them to ask it back to you. For me, I want to say my favorite in terms of playing was launch event. Everyone was really nice. Everyone was very friendly. I got to meet Harry as well. That was the first time. We played each other twice in that same tournament, actually. That was a lot of fun. I got to meet really nice, amazing players that are still playing even today, some of them, which is fantastic. That's what we want. That's what we want to see as well.
It's where the group chat started as well. Just like very small sort of thinking, like, well, a lot of us are spread out across Europe. Some locals only have like 4 people in it. Like, obviously R2 won it. It's like it's just him and Sampo in Finland, really. It's like hey, maybe we should start a WhatsApp group and then.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to play against Christian, who's done very well. Whenever he's entered, he's done very well. I got to play against Long Dao, who congratulations to him for winning the Pro Tour, and also going again to the finals of the Grand Open a week after, by the way.
Madness.
That's also been very good. But it's also very close with the first Pro Tour for me. That first Pro Tour was actually just an amazing vibe, just hanging out with all the boys in America.
Yeah, that was really
New
fun,
Jersey.
actually. I forget about that because
I forgot about that as well until I just said it.
I was so tired, but we did, because again we were all getting to know each other a bit better, and it was an odd bunch of us, really, wasn't it? It was me, you, Aaron, Sampo, and I guess Abdul as well. I can't remember who else from you.
Sampo, you, Aaron, like it was just such a good vibe, and I got all the Americans were really lovely people.
Yeah, they were.
TCG was an amazing TO. Gave us free food.
I didn't
and
like the
everything
bag
after.
checks every time I went in and out of the building, though. That was really frustrating. I think
I
I got my bag checked. I think I got my bag checked about 150 times over the weekend.
There was a time I was going back from the toilet, and the woman said just for me to skip by, but she saw the hotel owner glance at her, and she was like, "Oh no, let me check your bag."
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
but...
it's a different world over there in some respects. So
yeah,
got to respect it, but very frustrating. But yeah, no. So
PT1 for me. Yep.
Yeah.
Post in the comments what your favorite event was, guys.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
like and subscribe. We are about 15-ish subs away from our 100 mark. So thanks for all the support, guys. This has been episode 7. We got 3 more.
And Josh did say he would shave his head if we got 100 subs still. So.
That's not happening. But we do have 3 more episodes of this format of the podcast, and then we will be going. That will be the end of season 1, with improvements to come, guys. So I hope you're all enjoying it. If you have any feedback, pop it in the comments. But yeah, otherwise, we'll be back next week with a report after we've all hung out in Liverpool. Liverpool's really close to where I live, so I am super stoked to finally have a tournament very close. And they've just announced a Dragon Ball event 10 minutes from my house in January, so good times for me. Might have all the boys stay at my place.
Are you judging or playing?
I'll be playing. I prefer to play in person. I was meant to judge the finals for Dragon Ball, but I decided I wanted to play because it's in Barcelona and I want to go and experience the city a bit. So should be fun.
We be in.
We'll probably see anyone at the TCG. Also, the second TCG Expo, right?
Second one. No, come say hi if you've got any. If you want to talk about the podcast or anything, guys. But yeah, no, appreciate you all, and we'll see you all next week. That because of the edit, but yeah, that was second place, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And now, all right, so yeah, that's